Hello, good morning, Nirmita. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good, good.
I think मेरा नहीं है. You're viewing Harshal's screen.
Yeah, I just shared the screen, okay?
Okay.
For everybody.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. वो मेरा नहीं था.
यहाँ पे करना है.
हाँ. सही है? ठीक. और एक मिनट अगर हमको शेयर करना है फिर हम इसमें जाएंगे, right?
Yeah, so what you guys need to do is, right, if you, let's say you have a question or anything, right?
Yeah.
So once I basically go over certain things, you can share the screen if you have any question, right? And I'll work with you guys individually, one-on-one type of thing here.
Okay.
But if we can't, everybody won't be able to share the screen, okay, at the same time. So it needs to be one by one. But hopefully we'll go over a few things so it will be clear.
Okay.
How you're gonna do the things. And hey, good morning, Maipal.
Good morning.
So I think I'm waiting for a few more folks
Okay.
to join in.
Okay.
Everybody should be joining at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
But what I'm gonna do is I'm sending you one quiz, okay? So why don't you guys
Okay.
start looking at the quiz and work through on your computer meanwhile. So let me just send that email quickly. Give me a second. I'm gonna stop sharing for a few minutes and I'll get back to you guys.
Okay.
Hey, good morning, Arti.
Good morning, Harshil. Hi, how are you?
Good, good. So I'm still waiting for, I think, a couple of folks here. But what I sent you guys in the email is a quiz. Okay. So open your email and work through that quiz. And I'll get you guys 15 minutes to work through that on your computer. And but what it is, it's basically it covers session number 1, session number 2, and session number 3. Okay. So hopefully you guys can just write down the answers on piece of paper while you are going through the quiz.
Okay.
All right. And then we'll review the answers after probably 10:10. So we have 15 minutes to work through.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Just a second. Harshal, can I have the first two questions, please?
What is it?
Can I have the first two questions, please? Yeah, thank you.
Oh, Arti, I sent you in the email, so you should be able to pull up in your email.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent you a quiz in the email.
Okay.
I welcome Sital and Saranya.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are here. Okay, so I just sent a quiz to you guys in the email. Can you open up the email and work through the quiz? Everybody already started working at that.
Okay.
This is the quiz. Let me just pull that up here. Okay, this is the quiz that I sent you in the email. So hopefully you guys are working through.
Is it editable?
PDF is not editable. What you want to do is just write down on piece of paper, like first question number 1 and what is the answer. Yeah, something like that. You can do something like 1 and then say number first box or second box or third box, like that. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
You guys doing all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doing it.
Is anybody finished?
No, we have some more to go. I have some more to go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm almost done.
How about everybody else?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, just 2 more.
2 more. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
To you guys, 3 more minutes.
Okay.
10, 18. Okay. If you guys have to unmute yourself, just unmute, okay? So you guys can do so. I think I see a couple of folks. I'm not sure if you guys are speaking.
Um, I'm done and I'm waiting for the others to complete.
Okay. Yeah. Give a couple of minutes and we'll go over.
Sure, please.
All right. Everybody good?
Okay.
All right. So let's review. So hopefully you guys pretty much know all the answers. Okay. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about the first one. So anybody wants to? This is no brainer, right? It's a
Yeah.
structured query
Yeah,
language,
structured
right?
query language.
So this
Yeah.
is the one, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Give me a second. Okay. So let's go to the second one. Which SQL statement is used to extract data? So I think this one is straightforward as well.
Yeah. Select.
Select.
Yep. This is select one. Okay. All right. What about the third one?
Update.
Third one is update.
Update.
Yeah.
Update, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So update is the correct answer.
Right.
All right. Number 4.
Delete.
Delete.
Yeah, this one is straightforward as well. Hopefully you guys remember all the
Yes.
commands.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 5.
Yeah.
Which one is?
Inserting.
Insert into.
Insert into.
Okay. So this is the correct answer. Okay.
Yes.
Inserting.
Right. Insert new is there is no command like insert new. So okay. Number 6.
Number 6 is
Select first name from
First
person.
name from person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is incorrect, but this one is a correct one.
Select.
C. Yep. Okay. Number 7.
Select
Select
all
staff.
from person. Yeah, the D one.
Yeah. Okay. D.
Yeah.
D.
Okay. The
D.
last one. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Select from class.
A. The first one.
The first one. Peter.
Let's see here. So how do you select all the records from table Peter?
Person where
Name
first
person.
name is.
Yeah, first
Yeah,
name is
the
Peter,
Peter.
right?
Yeah.
So
First
this is the one. So I mean, this one, why do you guys know, right? This one will not work
Yeah.
because it's incorrect syntax. But let's say if you have correct syntax here, do you think it will work? Second one. Let's say you have select star from persons where last first name like Peter.
Because it's all.
Or. No, like it has to be.
Select
It should have the
star, right?
percentage.
Right. So what I'm saying is, if we change select star from persons where first name like Peter, do you think it will work with the correct syntax, correct thing here? Select star.
No.
and
No, actually no.
No.
it will work, okay? Because
Okay.
this, if you can run that query in our what is it, patient database as well. So if you change the select star, because what we are doing is, even though it does not include any like wildcard characters, it will strictly look for Peter. Okay, so it will have a same effect as equal at that point. Okay, so you can try it out this one when you have a chance. Okay, number 9.
First one.
D.
Last one.
Fourth one.
The last one.
Last one.
D.
It says value of a column first name starts with an A, right? So you need to have A and then percentage. So this is wildcard comes after A. So that's
Yeah.
the last one is the correct answer.
Okay.
This one is saying the last letter is A. Okay. So if I have Lena or Tina, whatever, it will find that. But if you are looking for Amy or somebody starting with A, then this is the correct answer, last one. Okay, number 10.
First one.
True.
True.
Okay. That is correct. Yep.
True.
Or displays any condition is true, then or will return true. So you will see the results. Okay, number 11.
C.
Yeah, third one.
The last one.
So, right. So what it's saying is where first name is Peter and last name is Jackson.
Jackson.
So you have two conditions and you are joining with and. So both has to be true, then it will return. Okay. Number 12.
B.
B. Second one.
Second.
Right. So you understand the between clause, right? That
Right.
includes the basically initial whatever the value you specify plus anything in the middle. So anything starting with that. So it is more like a greater than equal to. That's what it is. And less than equal to. So B between will work for that. Number 13.
C.
The
Last.
third one. Yeah. This
Yeah, third one.
Return only different values, right? So these are unique different values, meaning the unique values. So distinct will do that. There is no select different or unique.
Second.
13 are you talking about, Maipal? Or 14?
13.
14. Okay, so you guys are on 14 now.
Yeah, order by.
14, yeah.
Used to sort, right? So this would be the fourth one. Okay, there is no sort or sort by or order.
Yeah.
So you have to have, yeah.
13th one is what? The second one or distinct?
Distinct. Distinct is a command. There is no command called different or unique.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So distinct is the command. For 14th is order by.
Sort by?
No, again, there is no command called sort by.
Yeah.
So when you are, it's an order by command. Okay. So for 14th, number 4 is the right answer. Okay. Number 15.
A.
A. First one.
So here you are selecting the records and then sort by descending on first name.
First one.
So order by.
So order by first name and then descending. So this is the right syntax. Okay. And why this one is not valid? Because it's missing by. Missing by over there. Okay. There we don't. There is no sort command.
So we don't need the first name in colon for that.
For the select command, you have the star, so it will include all the columns from the table. All it's saying is how do you specify the sort by? Basically, how do you sort by descending on the first name column? So that's where you can use this order by command within the select statement.
Order by.
Yeah, order by first name descending. Okay. All right. Number 16.
C.
Third one.
C. Yeah.
So here it's a little bit tricky one. Okay, this one.
Is it B?
First and third.
The answer is correct. C is the answer here. Now let's take a look at first one. So it says insert values into persons. Now this syntax is incorrect. Okay, you have insert into, then you are specifying the what columns, and then finally you have values in there, right? So this is incorrect syntax. Now second one, here you are inserting the values first and then writing again, this is invalid syntax. Now third one is a right syntax, but what is missing is, so it has only up to insert into persons, right? But where are the columns? Typically you have the columns specified, right?
Yeah.
Like something like this, okay?
Mhm.
Can you guys see it, right? So we typically have insert into patient address, then all the columns, and then you have values, and then what are the values over there, okay?
Yeah.
But if you don't specify the columns here, it will what this one is assuming is there are two columns in the table. So Jimmy will be inserted into the first column and Jackson will go into the second column. So it will, this syntax will work. Okay. Now, if you remove Jackson, right? If you remove Jackson from the values and you try to insert, okay, this may fail. So what it could do is, let me come back here. So what we are saying is, let's say the table has two columns. Okay, first name and last name. Okay, these two columns. So when we write the insert into, what we are typically do is insert into first name, last name, and then you specify values here, ABC and James, something like that. Okay. Now in this example, they don't have this one. Okay, so it will by default it will go into the same order the table has columns. Okay, so it will go by something like that. It will automatically assume that. Okay, now what I was saying was, if you don't have second value in this scenario and you try to insert something like this, then it may fail. Okay, if you go something like this, insert into person table, okay, something like this, then it will fail because table has two columns, first name and last name. So you have to supply both columns. So all the column names. Okay. So that's a little bit tricky one. All right. All right, number 18.
D.
E. Yeah.
So 16, the hey, Harsh, so
Yeah.
16, the third one is the right answer, right?
That is correct. Yeah. Third
Okay.
one is right answer. Yep.
17, 18.
Okay.
Last one.
Number 18, right?
D.
Yeah.
E, okay.
D, yeah.
So update persons, set last name equals this, where last name equal Henson.
Yeah.
So this one is again a little bit tricky, but as long as you know the syntax, right? Update doesn't have into syntax, so you can eliminate. It's a game of elimination at this point. Modify, there is no modify, so this one is a correct syntax. Okay, number 19.
C.
C, third one.
C, yeah.
Right? We are trying to delete Peter's record, so third one is the right answer. Okay, number 20.
B.
B.
B, second one.
Right? So count is, you guys need to remember the aggregate functions, right? Count, min, max, all those things. And remember what this do. So here you are just counting the number of brackets. So count star will do the job for us. Okay. Okay, and for this one, number 21.
A.
A.
A, right? It's a range test. So you are specifying the range, right?
Range, yeah.
Yep. Okay. So that was easy one. Okay, this one you guys should get it as well. Primary key, foreign key relations.
Third
Index, third one or first?
Third one.
First one.
Who is saying, how many saying the first one?
I am saying the first one, but
Okay.
I have doubts with the third
Okay.
one as well.
So
Third one.
main job is, right? You guys need to remember that it's a relational, right, concept. This is a primary key, foreign key is a relationship, right? And we
Yeah,
use it to
third one.
cross-reference database tables.
Yeah.
Okay. Now index, when you specify that, right, primary key on a key, it will automatically create index on the primary key, but it does not create index on the foreign key.
Foreign key.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you specify some key as a foreign key in the table, it will not create an index on that. Okay. So that's why the first one is incorrect.
Okay.
So it's a partial true for primary key, foreign key, but it's not 100%. Okay, number 23.
C.
C. A.
All right, let me read it myself. Select customer count or from sales group by customer having count. Okay, so you're trying to figure out what is that it will return, right? Select all customer from table sales that have made more than
More
5
than
orders.
5 orders.
Right. Yep. Okay. So that is correct. 24.
So sorry, which one is the right answer for 23? A, right?
20 is just last one.
Last
C.
one.
C. Okay.
Why not first one?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see here. Select the total number of orders from the sales table if the number is greater than 5. That is the first one says, right? So what the first one says here, give me total number of orders from sales table. Now, remember, if this number is greater than 5.
Greater than 5. Yeah.
So here you are grouping by, let's see here. So you are grouping by customer and then having count order greater than 5. Okay, so this one is a little bit confusing, but let's read it through properly. Okay, so you have select customer count. So what it will do, the query. So it will group, it will get the count per customer, right? That's what this query does. So count of order per customer, and it will list it out. Customer A has 5 orders, customer B has 10 orders, something like that. Okay, so let's read the choices. Select the total number of orders from sales table if this number is greater than 5. Okay, select all customers from table sales that have made more than 5 orders. Okay, so when you read that, you are getting the total number of orders per customer, right? And then you are filtering all the customers who have made more than 5 orders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I most likely choice is number C in that scenario, because first one does not eliminate, it eliminates certain conditions in the description.
Okay.
Right?
So there is no group clause for the A, right?
Yeah, that is correct. It does not specify. So it says just give me total number of orders, right? It says basically, so it's not clear sentence. That I think it's a little bit confusing, this particular question and answers as well. Okay, but most likely choice would be number C.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, number 24. Select drop table clause. So you guys know this one.
Third one.
Third one,
Third
right?
one. Yeah.
Right.
Did it.
Okay, so it's dropping a table, not deleting records. Number 25.
First.
B.
3 SQL statement is correct. Which one of 3 SQL? So why the first one is not correct?
You don't have the table name from
So right, so from, it has to have a from clause.
table name syntax.
Okay, so it's missing from. So it's saying select username, password,
From is
but it's not saying from which table.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the reason it's incorrect syntax. Select username, password from users. Okay, so this is straightforward. It's seems correct. Select username and password is incorrect, because there is no such thing as username and password. You cannot have end clause, end condition in the select statement. So that's the reason number 2 is correct answer. Okay, number 26. So it's saying what is not true about on clause.
Oh, not true.
Oh, not true. Okay.
None of the above.
So you have to read all 3, right? A, B, C, and D. Okay. On clause is used to specify conditions or specify columns to join.
Join.
Okay, is it correct or false? Is it true or false?
That is true.
True.
Right?
True.
Because you have two tables and then you are trying to join them, and the on clause is used for that. On clause makes the query easy to understand. Now I can debate that. Does it make easier or not? I mean, we all can debate, right? On clause does not allow three-way joins.
Three-way joins.
So obviously, I think this is not, well, this is a negative, so it is true. Does not allow it, right?
Yeah.
Which is correct.
None of
So
them.
I think none of the above probably makes the query easy to understand. So I think this is a tricky answer question. None of the above, because everything seems to be true for that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, number 27.
So 26, what is the answer? Sorry, I missed it.
None of the above.
None of the above.
Because none of them is false, basically.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. So it's none of the above. Okay, number 27. So you are given a table. You are given a table, students table, and it has a bunch of columns in there. Now you are supposed to write a query, and which query is correct? That's what it's asking.
C.
B.
C.
Okay. So how many saying B?
I'm saying B.
Okay. How many saying
I'm saying
A?
I'm saying C.
C.
I'm saying A.
Yes, I'm saying C.
Okay. So here, let's take a look at the syntax, right? So we can figure it out. Okay. That's the only way you can do it. So number first one A. So select. Let's see here. So I have select honored subject, average, percentage of marks. Okay, up to here is correct. From students, where average percentage of marks greater than 50. Okay. Now, as soon as you encounter aggregate in the where clause, you have to stop right there, because aggregates, you cannot use it in the where clause. Okay. So this is an incorrect syntax right here, where average percentage of marks. Okay. So that's why it's not A. Let's take a look at the B. Select honored subject, average percentage of marks from students having average percentage of marks greater than 50. Then group by honored subject. So what's wrong here?
The first group by should come and then having.
Right, the order is incorrect.
Order is incorrect. Yeah.
Okay, so having always comes after group by in the syntax. So you have query from students, it's correct up to here, but then it should say group by honors subject, and then the last line should be having average percent of mark greater than 50. And that is what they have it in the C. Right? Select whatever the columns from table, then group by honored subject having average percent of mark greater than 50. So its answer is C on that. Okay. All right. So 28.
Delete.
Delete.
B.
Now what's missing in the delete statement? So why this one is incorrect? Delete.
There is no from.
Yeah,
From,
that is
okay.
no from, right? So that's why it's now truncate is also kind of like similar to the delete. There is the syntax called truncate.
Yeah.
What it does is difference is, and you can Google it as well. Okay, what's the difference between truncate and delete? But this one creates some log transactions. Okay, when you use delete statement, there is a SQL Server as a logging mechanism. So it creates the log of all the records being deleted. So if you have to basically stop the transaction in the middle and roll back, you can do that with the delete. You cannot roll back any deletes for the truncate transaction. Okay, truncate. So that's the main difference between truncate and delete. Both will delete the records, but truncate does not keep, you cannot roll back the truncate. Okay, so here again, I don't think the syntax is correct. So what I'm going to do is here I'm going to go here and I'll say truncate SQL Server syntax. Okay. And let's see. Okay. It says truncate table, this one. Okay. So it will delete everything without transaction. Okay. So this is the right syntax. It looks like they have it. Truncate table location. So it will remove everything without any log mechanism. So C would be the right answer. Okay, number 29. So did you guys figure out what should be the join here? So you have orders table, right? Orders and customers, okay? And you have, what is a common column? Customer ID, right? So your query needs to include a join condition.
Right.
So I already have one join condition, lab join customers. Now what is missing? That's what you need to put that in.
On.
Right, on. Then you have orders.
On orders dot customer ID equal to customers dot
Customer ID is equal customers
Customer
dot
dot
customer ID.
customer ID.
Right?
Yeah.
So this should be the result.
Yes.
Okay? So as long as you have this one, it should be correct.
Yeah.
All right. All right, let's take a look at the number 30. Choose the correct join clause to select all records from two tables where there is a match in both tables. Okay, so what type of join you will apply here? What type of join condition? Is it a inner join, lab join, or right join?
Inner join.
Inner join.
Inner join.
Right, it's a inner join.
Yeah.
And why is the inner join? You have to select all records from two tables where there is a match in both tables. That's where the inner join comes in the picture. Okay.
And can we use full join?
Full outer joins. Full outer join will not work here because what it will do is so let me go here and let's see here. Okay. So we have our table. Let me go to the query here. Start from, let's just put patient ID, first name, legal first name. Okay, and then let's do, I think, pick the address. Okay, so I'm gonna pick city. Okay, so we're gonna pick two tables. From patient P, inner join, patient address, PA on PA dot patient ID is equal P dot patient ID. So this is my regular inner join, right? Okay, so if I run it, it will throw me an error, obviously, because it gets confused about where this column is coming from. Okay. All right. So now I have total 11 records. Okay. Now let's take a look at what I have in the patient table. Okay. Again, I have 11 records. Okay. And let's take a look at it, what I have in the patient address. Again, I have 11 records. So what it says is, if the both tables have the patient ID exists in both tables, so it should return in the query for the inner joins. Okay. I know you guys had some exercises, number 6, number 13, and those things. So let's talk about that. It's a good time to do that. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is, let me go here quickly. Close this guy. And what, actually I have a query here. Okay. So here I have a couple of records. Okay. So I'm going to insert a brand new record in patient address table. Okay. So this is where I'm inserting that. Okay. So I just inserted one record and I'm going to run this query again. I should have 12, right?
Yeah.
And in the patient address, I have 11. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the query between patient and this join to make it a lab join. Okay. And if I run this, what is saying is at this point is select all the records from the patient table and find any matching records from the patient address. So whether we have a record in the patient address or not, I don't care whether I have a record here or not. Give me all the records from patient. So I should return 12 records in the query. And wherever there is a matching, it will pull the values of city. Okay. So let's see what happens. So if I do that, so I have 12 and 13. Looks like I inserted probably but a couple of records or one record. Okay, I need to see it. But looks like 2 records came out with the null values here.
So hey, Harshal, quick question. So what in the query tells to show the null values in city?
Yeah, so lab join. So what it's saying is when you, as soon as you specify the lab join, the from table becomes a main table. Okay, that's what it's saying, left and right. So this is a lab table. This is a right table. So pull or give me all the records from the lab table and then select the matching records from the right table. Okay, so this lab join tells pull everything from the patient. Now if I change it, something like right table, right join. Okay, so what this one will do is it will make this table as a main table in the query. It will select all the records from the patient address and there is whether there is any matching record from the patient or not, it will try to return it. So how many records we should get in this scenario?
Well,
Remember what we originally have here. We have 11, right?
11. Yeah.
So we should get 11 records here. Now why we don't get any patient null here? Did you guys know why? Because we don't have any patient that does not exist in patient table. Patient address is a child table. Remember that, right? So you will always have corresponding patient record for that. Okay. So that's the reason this one has a similar effect as an inner join. If I do inner join, I will have the same result set back here. Are you guys able to see it?
So what is the difference between inner join and right join? Because it is going to fetch the same kind of.
In our scenario, it's the same thing, but let me see if I can go and add one bad record in the patient address. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I have one patient address record and let me see if I can make it something like one record. See if I'm able to insert. But SQL may not allow me to insert either, but let's see. Yeah, it says because I have those foreign key rules specified, it will not allow me to insert bad records in the patient address table. But I think I should be able to do it in the patient bill because we don't have primary key, foreign key relationship. Okay, so let me show you one example. Let me just go quickly here. Okay. All right, so I have patient bill. Okay, so I have 13 records. I'm going to go ahead and insert into patient bill, patient bill ID, patient ID, visit date, bill date, bill amount, and paid. Okay, and values. Let's say I'm going to pick 18, and I'm going to pick the patient that does not exist. Okay, visit date is 12/12/2019. Bill date is 12/12/2019. Okay, bill amount is 100 and paid is 0, so it's not paid. So at this point, I'm going to insert one more record. So it inserted one record in patient bill. Okay, so if I run this query again, I should have 18 records, right? The last one. Now remember, there is no foreign key referential integrity for this specific table with the patient table. Okay, so this patient ID does not exist in the patient table. Is everybody clear? Right? Is everybody good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the similar query instead of patient address this time. Let me go and do this here. I'm gonna copy it and we'll paste it. This time I'm making it patient bill. Okay. PB, then I will change it to PB instead of city. Let's get the bill amount. Okay. All right. So let's see first inner join, simple one. So I have 13 records coming out from there. Okay. And let's see in the patient bill, I have 14 records here, right? So last one is not showing up. Let's go ahead and change to left join. So I'm expecting to see one record. There are 2 records here. So what it means? These 2 records does not exist in the patient bill table. Okay, they don't have any corresponding billing. So if I go and run the patient bill again, let's put it here so that it's clear. Let's see. So 10, 11, and 10, 12, right? So if I run it, if I look at the patient ID column, I don't have record for patient number 10, 11, and 10, 12. Is everybody with me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what this query is doing is selecting everything from the patient, and whether there is a matching record or not from the patient bill, it will return the null values for the paid bill amount column. Okay. So that's what it's doing here. So 10, 11, and 12, 12 will have a null amount. Okay. So that's the left join. Now, if I do right join, what I'm expecting? So I'm expecting everything from the patient bill table. And at this point, because I know there is an invalid or not matching, there is a one patient not exist in the patient table. So I'm expecting to see that patient record as well, but with a null value in there. Okay. So I just change the join and I just ran the query, and I'll see here the null values for the patient, because these 2 columns belongs to patient. We are pulling from the patient table. Remember that, right? This one is coming from the patient bill. Now, as long as you guys understand, right? So remember those queries where you needed to find out the patient who does not exist, like who does not have insurance type of things, right? So what we were checking where in this scenario, let's say we have scenario here, we want to find out the patient who we have not billed. Okay, so we haven't sent any bill out. So what does it mean? We have to pull all the patients, right? So in order to do that, we have to write this type of query and have a left join query in this point. Okay, so if I do that, I know the last 2 patients, number 14 and number 15, we haven't done any billing yet, right? So if I want to find out only those 2 patients, then I need to add a where clause here and say bill amount. You guys remember what where clause you added? Is null. Okay. If I do that, that means I'll get those 2 patients only. Okay. So these are a little bit tricky scenarios, lab joins, and practically in the real life, if you don't feel comfortable using the right joins, don't use it. I don't use it myself. Okay, because logically it doesn't make sense, which is from the left versus right. I typically start out when you are doing the data analysis, right? You typically start out with the inner join. And if you are not getting the right results, then you will change it to left join and see if it returns you better result for your queries. Okay, so at least you can see here, okay, I have some records that does not have any billing amount or billing records in that. And then you worry about writing the where class on top of it. Okay. Is everybody good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hopefully this is making sense. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's, yeah.
Can you show the code for where you inserted these null values?
Yeah, so what I did is I just went and wrote one insert statement, right? So I just created one patient, basically like something like this, right? So insert into patient, social security number, legal first name, and you can use the chapter. I think we have it in the session 2, where you use the insert statements.
Yep.
Yeah, you can follow the same thing. Make sure you put the unique value for social security number, right? And it will auto generate the patient ID for that. Now for patient address and those things, you have to basically create the relationship manually. That's what we are doing. If I insert this one, I know what is the highest value. So let's see what I mean by that is, right? So here it's 11, right? That is a high value. Now it's not auto-generated in the patient address. And the way I can tell it's auto-generated or not, the keys, right? So let me come back here. I showed you that command, right? sp_help.
Yeah.
And say patient address. It will give you the table structure. And you can see identity is null. So that means it's not identity column. There is no identity columns in the table. Okay. So otherwise you will see like a patient ID, address ID. If I run it on the patient table, I will see patient ID is identity column here, right? It's a seed and what is the increment of that key, okay? So if it's not identity column, that means you have to insert the values yourself in those columns, like patient address ID, patient ID and all those things. So here, if I run this one with the valid patient value, so let's see 10, 11, then it should work fine, or 10, 12. Okay, then I can insert it and see it that I have a new record inserted over there. Okay, and we will talk about how do we go about inserting the data into different tables in the next session, basically. Okay, so that you will understand how do we actually go with the scripting. So at this point, we'll dive into the scripting next. That is where you have to build certain logic into the SQL side of things and work through that. For populating like one table at a time, second one, third one, fourth one, like that. Okay, so we'll work through that. All right, so let me go back here. Any question? All right. So here you have to read what you are looking for, right? This one is, again, there is a match in both tables. Select all records, we talked about it. So this is the syntax for inner join, right? That's what you have specified. Now for 31, what it's asking is what type of join you will need to use here. Okay, that's the question number 31 is.
All records from the customer table. Table plus all.
Inner join.
So you have to read carefully, okay, this particular statement. Choose the correct join clause to select all records from the customer table plus all the matches in the order table. So I need to have all the records from here. Now, whether I have all the matches in the customer tables or not, I still need to select all the records plus matches. Okay. But I need to have, if I use inner join, that means the result will include both. They have to exist in both tables. Okay.
Both the table.
Yeah. But that is not what they're asking. They're asking here is give me everything from the customers table.
Left.
So is it left join or right join? It's
Left.
not inner join.
Yeah.
Left.
Left join.
Now again, so let's go back here, right? Left join. So if I put the left here, okay, instead of this join here, put left join on orders.customer ID equals customers.customer ID. If I do that, it will pull all the records from this table, orders table.
Okay.
Okay, that
Right
is where,
join.
so this
Right
one,
join.
if you make
Yeah.
it right join, if you want to pull everything from the customers, you have to make it a right join. Okay. So in this query is a little bit tricky because the customer tables is not in the from clause. It is specified in the next, in the join condition. So this is the right join here.
So if we switch orders on orders, then it is left join, right?
That is correct. Yeah. If you say select star from customers, then you say, okay, inner join on orders.customer ID equals this, right? There you can do it left join to select everything from the customers table.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, good. All right. So let's move on. Okay, so let's talk about, so any question that you guys have on the queries before we jump to the different topic here? Anything that you guys like to discuss for the
Yeah,
queries?
query number 17.
17, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so query number 17.
Yeah. Even I have.
Okay, so let's see here. I'm just gonna go to the new query here. Okay, so what is saying here is find all patient that does not have major illness and does not live in Columbus City. Okay. So you guys know what tables to join? So how many tables are we talking about here? So if I go back here, let's go to this screen here.
3 table.
So
Major
patient,
illness
right?
notes.
You have major
Patient,
illness,
major illness, and patient address.
patient
Yeah,
address,
patient,
right?
major
So
illness
3
notes
tables,
and major illness.
right? Okay. Now what is saying here, who does not have major illness? So how do you find out who does not have major illness, right? That is the question here. How do you know who does not have major illness? So that is where you have to check. Again, this is where the lab join comes in the picture. Or is it lab join, right join, or what type of join? What is that you guys wrote? So let's take a look at it, what we have, right? Select star from patients. Let me just write 3 simple queries here first.
Major illness.
Patient address.
Patient address.
Right? Okay, let's take a look at all 3 tables. Okay, so I got all 3 tables and all those things. Now what I'm saying is I don't have a major illness. Who does not have major illness? Okay, so this is the first part. So this, you have to build this query first. So does it mean that I have something in the major illness table, but I'm looking at the field?
No.
Or what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a patient and I'll find out the patient that does not exist, who doesn't have any record in the major illness. So that is where you need to check here. Now, from my standpoint, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find patients who does not have corresponding record in a major illness table. Okay. So let's get rid of the patient address table first. Okay. So let's see which one we are talking about here. So now I'm going to work with 2 tables only. And let's see what is my, so I have 11 and 12. do I have patient number 11 and 12 here from the major illness table?
Yeah.
Do I have it?
No.
I don't have it, right?
No.
So those patients would basically, I need to find those patients who does not have major illness first. So what I need to get is I need to return this 10, 11 and 12 IDs who does not actually have any record in the major illness table. Okay, so this one, I'll do that first. Let's do that first.
Okay.
So select legal first name, patient ID, or p.patient ID. Let me go with the p.patient ID. Then let's just put illness type. Okay. Okay, from patient P. Now here, what type of John I will need? If I just need those two records.
Right, John? Right.
If I just need it, this 10, 11, and 12, I need to find out. So let's start with the inner join.
Oh, left join.
You need
Inner
it,
join. Okay.
I'm going to start with inner join, okay? First, see if I can get 11 and 12 or not. Or my query returns that or not. Inner joint major illness M on M dot patient ID is equal P dot patient ID. Okay. If I do that, I will get everybody except those 11 and 12. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I need to change my query here. See if I can include, do lab join. So if I do that, it will pull all the records from the patient table and whether there is any matching record in the major illness or not, right? So this time I got these two. But what I'm saying is I need to pull only these two records, okay? 11 and 12. So how do I go about it? So where
Illness type is
M dot illness type is null. This is a special condition, okay? Is null is checks for a null value in a field. You cannot say equal null. If I run this query, it will not work, okay? Or if I say something like null, it will not work, okay? I have to have is null. It's a special condition to check for null values. Okay, if I do that, then I'll get these two records. Okay, so I did the first part of the query, find all patient that does not have major illness. Okay, now the second part is the patient also not who doesn't live in Columbus City. Okay, so at this point I need to see whether 10, 11 and 12, see if they have any address in the Columbus City. So let me go and write another query. Patient address where patient ID in 10, 11, 10, 12. So I care about only those two records, okay? Because I know my query is working fine up to here. I just need to see if they have any record in the patient address table. Okay, so 10, 12 has a record. Okay, so I should get 10, 11 only. Does it make sense? Now 10, 11 does not have any record in this table again, right? Oh, we are checking where they do not live in Columbus City,
Columbus City,
right?
yeah.
So at least I should pull up, my query should pull up this one by minimum 10, 12, right? So if I add another join condition and now first thing I need to do is join here, right? Yeah.
Can you repeat that? Like we are trying to find out those who live in Columbus City. Now, why did we write select from patient address where patient ID is in 10, 11, 10, 12? Why is that line?
So that is for the data analysis because you have to write the query. You have to understand the data, what data you have, right? So I'm kind of like a working backward. So I'm analyzing the data here, and then I'm checking which one my query should return. Okay, that's the purpose. I wrote this query separately. Okay, patient address where patient ID in 1011 or 1012. I know my query is good up to here, but now I'm not trying to build the second part. It says I need to find the patient who does not have major illness and does not live in Columbus City. So when I run this query, I'm just trying to analyze where do they live. Looks like this guy is living in Dublin, right?
Okay, yeah.
So if I build this query now, so I know this one should come in my query if I do a simple join.
So that should be our answer, right?
Yep, that should be our answer. Yeah, I'm working backwards, okay. For the answer.
And also for any null value, we have to use this is null instead of equal
That is
to
correct.
sign.
Yeah, that is correct. Yep. Just remember that for checking the null values, you have to use is null. Okay, so let me go ahead and build the second part here. I'm gonna just work with lab inner join patient address PA on PA.patient ID is equal P.patient ID. Okay, and then I'm going to add my where condition. Let's go ahead and add the table city as well, so we at least know which city the patient belongs to. So you can build like a piece by piece the queries. Okay, add parts, change something in the query, and then run your queries again. So here I'll say, and what is my where condition here?
City.
City not
equal to, right? Columbus, right? So if I run this, I should get at least one record for patient 1012. Okay, so I can see his illness type is null, so it doesn't have any major illness, plus he lives in Dublin City. Right? So why the second guy filtered out? Because he doesn't even have address, right? Because remember, we had two patients, 1011 and 1012. But since this guy does not have any address record, in the 1011 does not exist in the patient address, our query did not return any record. Okay, for that one. But this query should run fine. So you should be getting this type of result. Is everybody good?
Good, yeah.
And then just if we forget to write 10, 11 and 10, 12 in patient ID in the very first line, the select from patient address, then what would be the scenario?
No scenario, this is just, I wrote it for my analysis purpose. So you don't have to write this query, but if you want to know, okay, I got the first part of query working, but I need to see what should be the output, right? As a tester, you should be testing your own queries as well, whether it's returning correct result or not, right? So this is what my unit testing, this is the unit testing part. So I'm running a couple of other additional queries to see what I should be getting in my actual query. Okay. So that's analysis side of things.
So in is basically to check if the data is available in, if that particular record is available.
That is correct. Yeah, record is available or data, any. So when I run this query, right, I see, okay, I'm trying to find the patient address record for these two guys and just trying to figure out which one should be coming up in my final query. And I look at here and I say, oh, this guy is a Dublin, he lives in Dublin. So my final query should pick up this record at least.
Okay.
That's the reason I'm writing this couple of other queries separately.
Okay. So when you write this, only, I mean, the patient ID of 1011 and 1012, right, either of these will be returned.
That's correct. Either of that. And then, so in the final, once I add this where clause, right? See, if I comment out this one, I should see both. Actually, I should see, because I have inner join, that's the reason I did not see that. But if I go this, I should see both. Okay. Right. And then, but I know I should get, because I need to check for the address. This guy does not have address, so I shouldn't be including that because I don't know where this guy lives. He lives in Columbus, I don't know. So when I do inner join, it will eliminate the null condition, right? For that. And then when I add this additional filter, I should get one record out of those two, which is a Dublin guy. Okay, so make sure you always check for the result, how you go about verifying whether your query is working properly or not. And the technique is you build the first portion first, right? Then go back and modify your query, add the second class, third class, something like that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so any other queries that you guys,
18.
18, okay. I'm not gonna rush, okay? We will take our time to work through that and see any question that you guys have.
Yeah, 18.
Okay.
18, I think we found for the 18.
Okay, let me just go quickly and run it.
Okay.
So again, you need to look at here, right? So let's work through the first part. Find year 2014's total billing amount for patients. So that's our first part, okay? It's up to you how you wanna break it down. For me, okay, this makes sense logically. This is kind of like, okay, first part of the query. And once I figure that out, then I can add the second class in there. So here we are talking about total billing amount for patient. It's not asking you per patient or anything like that, right? So you can simply use aggregate function here. So if I come here and say, what is the bill amount, right? And say total billing amount. So what you're gonna use here?
Sum,
right?
yeah.
Okay. So sum bill amount from patient bill, right? And when you want to do total, you can do group by or anything like that. But I think this one should return you total, right? Without anything.
And
right? Now here, there's additional things. Only 2014's billing amount. So what we are saying here is select star from patient bill. Okay, so let's see how many bills we have in 2014. So I have this 4. So I should get total of this 900 to whatever amount is, right? This is what I should expect for the billing amount. So how do I go about it? So if I want to find out only year 2014, did you guys build the class, where class? Where bill date, right?
Bill date
Now,
is,
if you say you have to compare with 2014, right? So you cannot just simply compare with 2014 here. It will return nothing because it's a date, right? And you are comparing with the value.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to apply year function on the bill date so that I'll strip out all the other date, month and day, and it will just have a date in there. Okay, so if you want to take a look at it, so I can run this query, select year bill date from patient bill. Okay, so I'll see what it returns. It just returned me years, right? That is what is returning. So if I do this, so I will get 1242 answer, right? Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I need to add additional condition. They'll need to be in Columbus or Dublin. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to inner join patient address PA on PA dot patient ID is equal patient bill dot patient ID. Now I'm skipping the table here. Okay, I'm skipping the middle table, which is patient table. You guys remember that if I want to go from here to here first, and from here I can go here, right? Or I can go, since patient ID exists in both, I can go from here to here, right? There is no relationship here, so I'm just going directly here to here. Okay, so if I do that, then let's see how it changes. It doesn't change. Okay, but then I need to add one more where clause and city. How are you gonna say Columbus or Dublin? You can add in clause, right?
Yeah.
Columbus, Dublin. Okay.
You're gonna add in the city on select where.
Here you cannot add city on select. Okay, if as soon as I add that, it will throw me an error. It says patient address or city is invalid, but it does not contain in the aggregate function. Now, if you add here, make sure you have to have a group by clause. Okay, because if you add it here with the aggregate, that means you have to supply group by.
Okay.
Okay, now here, if you have multiple patients, right, it looks like the Columbus, there are no patient who living in Columbus. But let's say you have one more patient who lives in Columbus in this query. You will get a second line. So it's groups by city. So you will get two records, one for Columbus and one for Dublin. But that is not what the query is asking for. Okay, that's the reason I didn't have any group by. So it's just saying find the total billing amount and for the patients. That's all. Okay. All right. Any other query?
13th one.
13. Okay. Let's see what's the 13 one. Of medical, who does not have medical insurance. So this one is again going back to the, let's take a look at it in the tables first. Okay, so what we are trying to find out, find all the patients who does not have medical insurance. So you have to look at one table, right? We know that we have to look at the patient table first. From there, so this table, right? Then I can go from here to here. This is a glue table. And then I can go from here to insurance table, right? So do I have to go check in the insurance table whether they have it or not? Or I can simply go and check the record here in the patient insurance table to see if they have a corresponding record or not, right? So if I just check it here, then I can find out, okay, patient does not have record here. That means he does not have insurance record because this is a glue table. Glue means it's an intermediate table, right? So this should be a straightforward query. I can do joins here, right? The only thing I need to verify it, I need to supply the lab join instead of inner join. Okay. And then I need to check for null values. Kind of like similar to what we did for major illness earlier. Now, for most of you guys, I don't know whether you guys have, if you haven't created any patient, inserted any new patient yet, go ahead and create a new patient here. Okay, using the insert into patient so that you know only that patient is supposed to be returned if you run the query with the lab join. Okay, so let me just quickly write this query. Select patient p.patient ID, legal first name. Okay, and I can write insurance ID. Okay, I'm gonna write it regardless. From patient P. Now I know I have to do lab join. Patient insurance. PI on PI dot patient ID is equal P dot patient ID. Okay, so if I run this, so I'll get all the patient record, but I'll have two records, two patients whose insurance ID is not there. These are the ones I should return in my query, these two patients. Okay. And based on that, I can tell they don't have major insurance or any insurance. So here, once I do that, I'll change my query where PI dot insurance ID is null. So if I do that, I find these two patients. And at this point, my query is complete. Right? Does it make sense? Okay. All right. Anything else?
28.
Can you please come down? Yeah.
28.
21st.
21st and 28. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me work through 28 first. Okay. And then we'll work with the 21st.
Patient at least 2 major illness type and
By the way, I'm recording the session, so hopefully you guys, I'll be able to upload, okay? And you guys can work through afterwards as well if you need.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so let's take a look at it, what we have. Find all patients with at least 2 major illness and whose last name starts with J. So this is our first part. So how do we go about it? Any idea what it's saying?
all 4 tests.
So let me run a simple query here. Major illness. Okay, so let's understand what it's saying. So if I run this query, okay, let's take a look at the patients. And what I'm going to do is let's order by ascending. Okay, so it makes it clear. Okay, so it's saying find patients with at least 2 major illnesses. When it says that, you have to look at the patients who have more than 1 records or at least 2 records in the major illness table. So I have 1001. This guy has 2, diabetes and hypertension. 1003, it has a couple of major illnesses. And let's see, anybody else? At least not in at least my database table. Okay, I think you guys should have the same thing. You guys should have at least a couple of records. All right. So how do I go about finding those 2? Any thoughts?
Group by.
What is it? So if I want to find out all patients with 2 major, at least 2 major illness, how do I go about it? What type of aggregate function I need to use? We have to use group by.
Count of.
We can use count, right? That's a simple one. So count and let's say illness type. Okay. From major illness. Now again, which order you go, it doesn't matter here. Let me just go with the regular order, right? Patient table, patient P. Okay. Then I'm going to join with inner join major illness. Mi on mi dot patient ID is equal P dot patient ID. Okay. All right. So if I do that, then I will at least get something there. But now I need to find all the patients, right? So what do I need to group by here?
Patient ID.
Patient
Right?
ID.
We have to do by patient ID. So P dot patient ID. Okay. So I got these records here. So I need to figure out these 2 only. Okay, I need to get only those 2 records in my query. It says find all patients with at least 2 major illness, right? So now I need to apply filter condition that can give me only those 2 records, 1001 and 1003. So how do I go about it? Any thoughts?
Where count is more than 1.
So now again, if I do where clause, right? Will it work for me? So if I do where
Having
count illness type is greater than 2, greater than or equal to 2, right? It says at least 2. If I do that, it says it's invalid. That you cannot have this count or aggregate function in the where clause. That's what it's saying. Okay. So how do I go about applying it? We have to put it in the having. When you are saying count, okay, so that's where the having clause comes in. Here I can get only those 2 patients, 1001 and 1003. Got it?
Yes.
Now, the second part, whose last name starts with J. Okay, so here, where I'm going to apply that condition, this is where my where clause comes in. So I'm going to check in the last name and see if it starts with J. So here I will go change my query where legal last name. Now what would be the condition here?
Like,
Right?
like,
Like it starts with J, so it says J
J,
and percentage.
percentage, yeah.
Okay, so that is my condition. See if I get anybody back. So I got one patient back and 1003. Okay, so how do I know it's correct? So if I go here, select star from patient, where patient ID equals 1003. And his last name starts with J. So my query seems to be correct here. Okay. So it filtered down further. So other guy had it, let's comment out one more. This one, run it again. So 1001, right? So if I do 1001, okay. So first guy, 1001 had Snyder. So that's the reason it got filtered out from our query here. Okay. All right. So everybody good? Okay. So let's take a look at which one was that, 22nd or 21st?
21st.
21st, okay. All right. So let's come here. So what it's saying is find all patients who has total bill amount greater than 50 and is older than 18. Okay. So here is find all patients. It's asking for a list of patients whose total bill amount is greater than 50. So we'll work through the first part first. So let's run a simple query. Select star from patient bill. Okay. So what we should be looking at is, so anybody who is greater than 40, right? So this one was total bill amount actually, right? So I think everybody should come up. Let's see. Most of them should come up because none of them is greater than 50, less than 50, right? So it's a simple group by query here. So I'm going to again go here and let's say sum bill amount. Okay, from patient, I'll stick with the patient here. Okay, patient P, go to the standard approach, inner join patient bill, PB on PB dot patient ID equal P dot patient ID. Okay, so this one will give me total bill amount for all the patients, right? But that's not what we want. We want to find out all the patients. So what do I need to do here?
Group by patient ID.
Group by patient ID, right? So I'm going to find out. So here I can say group by patient ID. Let's put P dot patient ID here. Again, P dot patient ID. So now I get a list of all the patient. Now it says total bill amount greater than 50, right? So again, the sum I need to apply. Now will it go to the where clause? Obviously not, right? We'll go to the having by sum bill amount greater than 50. I don't think the numbers will change because I see everybody is greater than 50, but let's see if we bump it up to maybe 70 or 75, right? So this way we can make it a little bit, so now I got only this many patients. Okay, so up to here, my query seems correct. Then I can go and apply older than 18. So that is in the demographics table, right? Inner join demographics D on D dot patient ID is equal P dot patient ID. Okay. And I can put a where clause here where age greater than, does the patient table has age? We'll see. So I have the patients, basically, all the patients that I need for this query. So now hopefully you guys can see it's a kind of like a repetitive, as long as you understand the select, from, where, group by, having by, the order and the syntax. Hopefully you guys can finish up the queries.
Yeah.
Okay. Is everything good? All right. So let me show you one thing quickly here. If you guys don't have any question, then I'm gonna move on to the session number 3 homework. I don't know whether you guys did it or not. Did you guys work through this homework session 3?
No.
Okay. Let me show you quickly, and I'll let you guys work here. Okay. And if you have trouble, then I can see. You can share your screen, and we'll work through that. Okay. But let me explain you what this one is first. So just like the functions that we have. So what's the one function that you guys use for the date? If I want to get a date, like a today's date, you have a get date function, right?
Yeah.
Right? So you can do select get date, and it will return you date from there, right? There is another function we use, right? So I can do select year. I can apply on get date. So it will give me year for the current year. Same thing, select month, get date. So I will get a month, current month. So these are kind of like a date functions. Okay. And if you Google it, so let me come here, date functions, SQL Server. Okay. So date and time functions. And let's come here. So there are a bunch of functions here. System date time. Okay. So kind of like if I go here, let me just copy from here. Okay. And run it. It will return me all the way to the milliseconds. Okay. So these are a bunch of date functions that you have it available. You can, there are, I think, various, like these are the ones that we saw for day, month, year. And now when we say function, that means the function may take some arguments as well. Okay. So when we talk about arguments, so when we are supplying, so we have a year function, right? This is a function, but it requires argument. So argument value it takes is a date value. Okay. So some functions will take argument. The year function will take argument of date. So you have to supply valid date in there. So here, when I say get date, or I can type in any date, 1/1/2020, okay, something like that as well. Or I can pass in the column name. So we were doing like a bill date column, right? Here, from patient bill. Okay. So argument can be anything, either the column name or the fixed value, or it could be another function over there. But function will always return some output. Okay. So when we say select this one, that means we are outputting there's some value from the function. Okay. So these are some of the commonly used date function. Similar way, we have a bunch of string functions. So string functions are available for any operation that you want to do on the strings. So let me show you some examples here. So let me show you here examples here. Okay. So let's run our simple query. See, legal first name, legal last name from patient. Okay. All right, so it's returning me simple thing right now, legal first name, last name, those 2 columns, right? Now, what if I if I want to do some operation, or let's say I just want to strip out first 3 characters of the names. For that, you have to apply the functions on the columns, the string functions, and you can strip out any value from the names here. So let's say if I apply left function on the legal first name column. Now, as soon as I do that, right, left, it gives me some hint here. So left expression, then number of characters that you want to return from the output. So if I apply left, then let's say 3 characters. Okay. So if I run this query, and what the results? So I get ERIJER cat. So I can apply this function, and output of the function would be whatever character that you are looking for. Okay. So the left function returns 3 characters from the beginning, left side. Okay. So that is what the left function is. If I change to right function, okay, so it will return me the last 4 digits or last 3 digits in our scenario. So it will return me RIC, any, and all those things. So let me put the same column on the second, so you guys can see the difference. Right, so it will strip out RIC from the Eric, EMY from the Jeremy, and so forth. So right takes, again, if you look at the syntax here, you supply the expression or value, and then whatever number of characters you want to strip out from the function. Okay. All right, so let's go back here. Now there is a ltrim and write_trim function as well. So ltrims, what it does is it returns a character expression and removes the leading blanks. So what it means is, let's say suppose our name has something like that. This is our column, right? Let's say we have Eric value, right? This is our Eric value. Let's say our column stores some space in the front. Okay, for the value. Now, if you look at here, right, you don't see any spaces in the front. Do you guys see any space? You don't, right? Why is that? Why you don't see any space in the front here? Because it is a varchar column, right? Remember the varchar versus char columns?
Yeah.
Varchar and char columns. Okay. So varchar will strip out all the leading spaces. When you store the value in there, it will remove all the spaces from front and back. So it will store only the value. But char will have, you can store anything in the front, back, or anything like that. Varchar actually strips out from the end, not from the front. Okay. So let me show you an example here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and update legal first name from patients. Okay. Set legal first name is equal, let's put some space around it. I don't know how many spaces we have. Okay. So something like this. I'm going to go with that, where legal first name is equal Eric. So I don't know how many records it will update, but it should update at least 1 because I have Eric in there. Oh, patient.
Yeah.
Okay, so it said 1 row is affected. Let me go ahead and do the query here, this query. Or I will write a simple query, select R from patient. Okay, so now you see the difference here. You have the space in the front, right? And Eric is in the middle. So you have this bunch of space. So let's say you are writing a simple query where legal first name is equal Eric. Okay, you are just running a simple query. You're wondering why my output is not coming up, because I know there is Eric in the table. And this is what happens, okay? When the users are typing it on the screen, you will not know whether they are putting any spaces in the front or back. So this is called like it causes a lot of issues in the queries. So what you sometimes end up doing is when you are writing the queries, you have to strip out the leading front spaces and spaces from the back so your query can work properly. So if I want to make this query work, because right now it's returning null, there is nothing returning, right? If I want to make this query work, I can do ltrim. Okay, so I can do something similar. Apply on the first name column values. So it will strip out all the values and then it will compare with Eric. See if this does the trick. So now, even though I have a bad data, my query is returning correct result. Okay, so I'm applying this function on the legal first name. Okay, so that's the power of function, and that's where you need to get familiar with some of the functions, not all, because there are thousands of functions out there. You can't memorize everything, but these are most commonly used functions in pretty much any programming languages. If you want to do strip out the space from the left, you use ltrim. I think it's the same name in the SQL, Java, or C# or any other programming as well. So
It
that
will
is
basically truncate all the spaces.
that is
Like
correct.
it will.
From the left side. Okay, when you say
Okay.
ltrim and when you say rtrim, it will truncate from the right side. Okay,
Okay.
That's what it does. Now we already saw the example of left. So what if I want to compare only first two characters, right? I want to find out anybody with the two characters. Sorry, let's go here. So I'm applying multiple functions now. I'm applying ltrim left on top of ltrim. Okay, so one output you can apply to the second output, and now I'm going to compare with ER. So anybody that has that ER in the name, first two characters, it will return me. Okay, now our example again, what it did here is first it stripped out all the space, then it looked at, we strip out, when we apply the left function, it strip out again, it got only two characters and then compare with the query result. Okay, that's the reason you have, it's returning the values now with the ER.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if we did not apply the trim and there was leading spaces on the left, and if we did that left, comma 2?
So what you're saying is something like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I run this, it will not return me result again.
Okay, because the first two are spaces.
Yep, because of the bad data in the system.
Oh.
Yep. That's why you have to look at the data and see what works. Oh, I see some spaces, but I don't know how many are there.
Okay.
So you will apply ltrim function, okay, on the column, and then you apply the remaining, strip out the two characters and work through that. So these are called nested functions.
So the ones in the inner bracket will be the ones in the inner bracket will be executed first. So it's the sequence.
That is correct. Yeah, whatever is you apply first, that is executed first. Output of that goes to the outer function, basically.
Okay.
Yep. As I said, there are many functions, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, in the previous function, why do you have two there?
Just to show you the example, you can apply it here. Let's say for some reason, I need to compare only first two characters, right? Now, but my values are actually, my name is actually Eric. So I have more than 4 characters. For some reason, you are looking for everybody who has 2 characters. First 2 characters are ER. Then I need to strip out additional things from the values, compare only first 2 characters in my query. And that is where I need to apply this left function to strip out only first 2 characters from the columns and compare with the values. Okay. It's like a scenario that you have. You may or may not apply this left function unless you need it. Just to get, I guess, specifics varies depending on your scenario, what function you will apply, and so forth.
Okay.
Yep. So just like left, right? I can do right function, right? And I can run the query here. So let me change here. I already talked about right here, right? What is the right function? So it gives you the last 3 characters from the column. Okay, so you can do the same thing in the query in the last 2, compare with what if you need that, need to apply. Len will return you the number of characters. So let's come back here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do len, apply len on first name column. Okay. So if you remember here, so Eric has 14 characters, right? Because we have some white spaces in there. So actually 10 white spaces looks like we added 10 space characters. But you can see it, okay, based on that, okay, so I need to do some, apply the strip or ltrim or some other function in order to work with that. That's how you can know whether they have space or not in the names. But len is a very helpful function as well. You can apply on the strings. Upper and lower, right? If I do lower, it's not case sensitive, by the way. You can apply in the however way you want it. If I apply those, everything is uppercase and everything is lowercase. Okay, so that's how these functions work. Now replace function is kind of like sometime when you write the scripts, when you clean up some data, you have to use the replace function. Otherwise, you will not use it often. So let me show you what's the effect here. So I'm going to have this side by side so that you guys can understand. Okay, so I have this query, and I'll explain to you what this does. Okay, so I have two. First column is I applied some function, right? Second column is raw. It's no change. So what I did is I replaced the j with the values kkk. So anywhere there is a j in the string, in the name, it replaced and put the values, different values. I can do that on the fly on the queries. Or when I'm writing, I think on the queries, you probably will not use this much. But sometime what happens is you have some weird characters, and that might cause some programming issues. So like, for example, you have like a single quotes or something like that you are storing in the names. Okay, so you might have to replace that single quote with a double quote when you are returning the values. And that's where you will apply this type of functions over there. Actually, it's double quote, something like that. Yeah, like JSON, right? I can put, I have the values like this. And if I want to strip it out, I can put with maybe $sign or something like that. So you will end up using in the scripts a little bit. But for QA testing perspective, not much. Okay, this function. But it's good to know that it's available, just in case if you need to analyze some data and do some cleanup. Now, when you use replace, right? And when you apply in the queries, it is not actually updating the data, only in the queries. So it's not actually storing updating the values in the tables. It's on the fly, this type of functions. Okay, so that's the difference. When you run update statement, that is the only time the values are being updated in the tables. But otherwise it does not get updated. Substring function, if you want to strip out certain parts from the middle of the string. So like we looked at left, right? Here, lap2. If I do that, it gives me something from the beginning or end. But if you want to do substring, you can specify what position and how many characters you want to strip out from the middle of the string. Okay, so I get A, O, I, U, or whatever. How many? I can say 3 characters, starting with the second character, then give me 3 more characters. So if I look at here, it says Jeremy, right? Since I says what is the starting character I need to strip out. So it starts with second line, second letter, E. Give me 3, E-R-E. That's why you are getting E-R-E from the this one. Okay. So if I do starting with the third character, give me like a 2. What should I get? R-E.
R-E.
Right? Those are the 2 things I will get from there. So I'll get R-E on that. So substring is for middle of the string. Left is from the left side and right is for the right side. Okay. So there are different functions over there. So let me show you one more.
So 3 represents the place and 2 is the number of characters.
That is correct. C represents the starting position.
Okay.
Okay. Starting position. It's a start. What position you want to start with?
Harsha?
Yeah.
Where in the like job, where do we use these functions? Like example, real life example.
Yeah, so these functions, right? When you are running the queries and you are not returning the data, maybe it's just a bad data stored in the systems. So this is where you're gonna be using this function a lot. And I can tell you, ltrim you will use a lot. Left, right, you will probably start using a lot. Upper and lower may not be that much, but replace when you're writing the scripts, which we'll dive into a little bit next session probably. That is where you have to use the substring. If you are doing some programming like little bit complex queries, that's where the substring comes in the picture. But the concat is programmers use that a lot. So let me show you that quickly, concat here. Now there are, as I said, I mean, there are thousands of functions out there, okay? What I'm showing you guys is which are the most commonly used that you need to get familiar with. As a QA tester, or even if you're starting out in the programming side, you still need to get familiar with this basic functions. Then you can always Google something for scenario. Hey, how do I do certain things? And you can look at the code and figure out the function that you need to apply. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so here concat, right? So what if I want to show the name, like I have legal, like something like similar to like that. Okay, in my query. So I should return something like that. Okay, like first name and last name. So that is where there are a couple of ways to doing that. So first way is use the function called concat. And here, so this is my first name value. Then I have one space in the middle, and then I have the last name value. Okay, so I can supply as many strings I want, and then I can say legal last name. So what it will do is it will combine 2 columns values into this format, okay, something like this, and return me the data. So if you look at it, Jeremy Jones, Kathy Jones, Louis, Andrew Young, kind of like that. And wherever you go on the site, like any website, they greet you by name. Most likely they are using this type of query in the backend that can concat the names and show you right there on the screen or the web page. So you can do it something like this, or there's another way. I can do something like this as well. Okay, if I'm not using concat function, then I can do simply addition operator, and go with like this. They both will have the same results. Okay, there is no difference. So I can see Jeremy Jones here. right? Kathy Jones, same way. Okay. These are helpful
It
functions.
will not
Okay.
concat without the space. So if it is
No, it will
Kathy,
concat if you don't put this string, right?
okay,
So it will just concat without space.
okay, okay.
It's just that whichever format you want. So here I can supplying, maybe I put dash in there, right?
Oh, okay.
So I'll see with the dash in there, Jeremy
Oh,
Jones.
okay.
Yeah. And you can supply as many string as you want. So if I go dollar symbol at the end, something like this. So it will put dollar at the end. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So last function, I mean the reverse function, right? By name, it's reverse. So if I do reverse here, let me get rid of this thing. So what it will do? It will reverse the values. Okay. So I have Jeremy, it will return something like this. See, in the old days, when there was not much encryption back in 90s, people used to store something like this in the password field. Okay. That was like a way back. Maybe, I don't know. It was a bad design or something, but I've seen the databases which actually stores the password, they reverse it and they store it. People will think they will never figure it out, but then they do, they still hack the system because they figure out the pattern. So, okay. So reverse is very straightforward. Now str is an important function. So let me do something like this, okay? So what if I wanna do age, return age in this thing? I can't do that. It will throw me an error. It says conversion failed. Why is that? Because age is a number, it's an integer, right?
Yeah.
This is a varchar or character. So you cannot combine integer word with the strings. So how do I do that? This is where you can convert the number to a string by applying string function. So when you do str age, it converts the age to the string value, and then you can join with the string or combine with the string. So now my query runs fine at this point. Okay. So that's where the str to convert the decimal values or any value, including date. I think the birth date. Actually, we don't have it here, but date you can apply the same function, convert to the string and join it.
Sorry.
And finally, the char index. Now, as a QA, you probably may or may not use it, but I'll show you regardless. What it's looking for is, so let me go here, legal first name. Okay. So here, expression to find, right? So that is your, whatever the column name or value that you can supply. Then what are you finding? Okay, so just pay attention here, see what it does. So now you want to combine it. Because char index will return you number, numeric value. Okay, that's the reason. Legal first name. Char index, legal first name. I have the right column name. Expression to search and start location. I think this should be correct. Let me see the example here. Oh, I put it up the other way around. Okay, that's the reason. So you need to figure out the syntax, look at the function syntax, and this is expression to find. Okay, so I'm supplying the value to find in the string. Then it will return me the index of that character. So here, if I do, let's say we do A here. So what it's looking for is, it's looking for the value of A, index of A, in the value. So A is in the second position. Louisa it's on the 7th. Andrew obviously is the first one. Eileen is 0, and like that. Now, when you are doing a little bit programming, you're going to end up using this char index. But I think when you're writing the normal queries, you probably will not use it mainly. So just remember, if you just get familiar with the syntax, and I think we'll probably use it later in one programming exercise later on. So any question on the functions?
And the last one, what if, like here, you looked for A, what if A repeated twice in a name?
Yeah, it will find the first one.
First.
Now, if you want to start at a specific position, then you can specify, let's say I want to start with the starting position 5. So if you know repeated twice, but you want to find out after that, then you can do that as well. So now here, it's other ones, it's not showing up in the values.
No.
Yep. So let's do one thing. I don't want to go too far, but how about you guys work through this exercise here? If you guys want, we can stick around for another 30 minutes. I'll let you guys work through here, these exercises, and I can help you if you are having any trouble.
Hey, Arshal.
Yeah.
In the last one, char index, can we go to the code that you wrote?
Yeah.
Character A, legal first name, and number 5. What is that for?
This is the starting position. So this brackets, right? You see here. So it is an optional argument. Okay. So as I said, right, every function it can take some argument basically. So we are supplying this char index, then all different arguments. But in the square brackets, these are optional arguments. Okay. So in the first example I showed, I did not supply value of 5 and it still worked, right? It gave me from the beginning. So start index was starting with whatever the first position onwards. But when I supply the additional 5, so what I'm saying at this point is find the strings that has A in higher than 5 position. Okay, so that's what is returning me in the queries. So it's going to return me Louisa and first name value. So first number 4 record and number 12, those two only. Actually, it will return all the records, but it will just highlight whatever the higher ones only.
Okay.
It's not a filter, right? It's not a query filter. So it will not strip out other records, but it will just return what are the positions higher than 5.
And second question is, can you repeat the syntax for concat again?
Yeah. So concat, right?
Return
Okay.
string that is result of contacting.
So
two
first
or more.
value is you concat, right? The whole meaning is you want to join 2 values, combine 2 values, or more than 2 values. Okay. So here legal first name I want it, then comma, then let's say I want to combine with the legal first last name. Okay. So here in this example, I'm combining 2 values. When I run the query, okay, it did combine, but it's not giving me the right format. So what I can do is I can put in the middle, let's say I want to supply the strings. So maybe 2 space in the middle when I join it. So I'm going to put 2 space, comma. So now I'm combining 3 strings. First one, second one, and third one. Now, why I'm not putting this one in the quote versus this one in the quote? Because these are fixed value. When you say like this is a fixed value. These are actually column values. That's the reason. Okay. That's why I just get familiar with the syntax with that. So if I run it, now I get something like that. I can keep on adding all the strings that I want to combine. Maybe ABC, something like that at the end, comma, XYZ, and so forth.
So, and we have to specify the table, right? Like what database or table you want to combine in the last, the patient one.
Yeah, you still have to have proper syntax for queries.
Okay.
Now,
and can it be used? Can we use this for address? Let's say the address has a house
that is
number.
correct. That is correct. That's the most common, right? For the address. So let me do that. Select what is it? Concat. You have what street. Let's run a simple query. Select star from patient address. This is most common use, okay, for the address concat function. So I have address line 1. Then I have space. Then I have address line 2. Then I have space, city, space, state. I need to put space, right? One space. And then finally zip.
So if we don't specify that space, it will all be jumbled up into one.
That is correct. Yep. That is correct. That's why whatever format you want, you can do that. So if I do that, it's nicely formatted here. Now, as you see, let's say I want to put a comma after city, right? Or address line 2. I can do that here. It will have nicely formatted address basically for you. Right. So this is most common use. I mean, address is formatting in the backend is much faster than somebody programming and formatting on the user interface. So any question?
No, thank you.
All right, sure. All right, so if you guys, we can work through that to 12:30 if everybody's okay. Or you guys have something else going on, we can break. Or you guys want to do it as a homework exercise, really. How about you? Let's spend till like a 12:30 here, okay? 20 minutes. Let's see how far you guys go. What I want you guys to do is work through these examples here and try to understand that. Now, some of the examples, right? So I don't use some of the examples. I have not used kind of like a tables, right? I'm simply using kind of like a hard-coded strings, okay? So this is how the syntax. If I do that, so whatever string value you supply, it will strip out 3 from there. Okay, so it will return you the value, stripping out 3 characters. Okay, so these exercises are like that. All right. So I'll let you guys work through 12:30 here and we'll break. Okay. And then do send me email if you think this is helpful. Then we can continue something like this tomorrow as well, and or next weekend. Okay. Yeah, but if you think it's not helping you guys, then I want to know as well, so that we can move back to maybe after a week or 2. I don't know how long it will last to the actual classroom type of thing. Okay.
So which page we are starting? Page 40.
Let's see the page number. So yeah. This is where the homework session number 3. So this is what you guys are working through. I think it's page 39 or 40. Yeah, 39 or 40. I think it's page 40. Yep, that is correct. Skip the exercise. Let me see. Let me show you a couple of things here. Because skip exercise 1 and 2. Skip exercise 1 and 2. Okay. Okay. Ltrim and Altrim 1, because you don't know the syntax for declare and what those are. So we will go through that anyway. Start with the left. Okay.
Actually, when I open the new query, when I run a query, it's not coming up. I don't know if my...
It's not coming up. What do you mean? So
I just did a basic select patient.
Okay.
I mean, select star patient.
So here, do you have this selected patient registration here? Yeah,
that is patient registration, yes.
Okay. And you are doing select star from patient, simple query. What is that you are getting?
Let me try.
No, what you can do is you can just share your screen if you want.
No, I got it now.
Did you got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, otherwise you can share your screen. I can see it, what you are doing on your screen.
Yeah, now I got it.
Hey, Harsh?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm sharing the screen.
Okay.
It says you cannot start screen share while other.
Yeah, let me get you access, okay? So that you can
Okay.
share the screen. Give me a second. Okay, go ahead and share the screen.
Okay, here I'm using left, legal first name, 3.
Hang on. I'm not able to see your screen yet. Okay, I can see it now. Yep.
So legal first name, 3.
All right.
Execute. Right?
Make sure you do select statement. Okay, you still have to do select. No, you in the here. If you can give me control, I can. That you have to write the select, then space left legal. So your query needs to be complete. Kind of like what I had it, right? So if I have to write the left, right, in the query, you have to have a select statement before that, before the left.
I gave the control to you.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is what you need to do, select left, right? This is what you're doing, and then from patient. Yeah, because it's still function you are applying in for the select statement. Then you can run it, and it will work fine.
Okay.
Thanks. All right. Okay.